Something changed, not suddenly, not all at once, but across several centuries, something that human beings had always taken for granted. A felt sense of living in a world alive with meaning, permeable to something greater than themselves, quietly closed. And most of us had grown up so entirely inside what replaced it that we barely know it happened. Here is a small clue. This is the Chinese character Qing. It means blue. It also means green. For centuries, a single word served for both, not because the Chinese couldn't distinguish between them visually, but because the lived boundary between those two qualities of blue and green had not yet hardened into sharp categorical division we now take for granted. Homer, writing in the 8th century before the Common Era, never used the word blue in the Iliad or the Odyssey. The sea for Homer is wine dark. The sky goes unnamed in colour entirely. This is not poverty of language. It is a different relationship between the perceiver and the perceived. A world not yet carved into fixed categories that modern consciousness moves through without noticing. Consciousness has not always been as it is now. We saw this very clearly in the evidence of art. Each of these 4 painters was recording what they genuinely perceived. What they could see, and what they could not, was shaped by the state of consciousness available to their time. Watch what is gained, and notice quietly what disappears. If this question interests you, if you have a sense that the world as officially described leaves something essential out, then this channel is for you. Please like and subscribe. All our videos are about relating spiritual realities and universal wisdom to real issues in life. In the early 17th century, Descartes drew a line that changed everything. He said, "I think, therefore I am." In that single sentence, the thinking subject becomes the one certainty, and everything else becomes an object to be measured, analysed, and eventually controlled. Mind here, matter there. A clean, useful, and in certain ways devastating division. The Enlightenment built on that foundation with extraordinary energy. Newton's laws, the experimental method, the gradual replacement of received authority, whether of church or tradition, with the authority of observed fact and texted inference. Let us be honest, this was genuinely liberating. Real suffering had been caused by superstition and unexamined dogma. The scientific revolution opened vistas of understanding that enlarged human life in ways that are easy to underestimate. We should not romanticize what preceded it, but William Blake saw what was being lost. His image of Newton, crouched at the ocean floor, measuring everything, blind to the vast living darkness surrounding him, remains one of the most economical diagnoses in all of literature of exactly this problem. Single vision and Newton's sleep, he called it. A mind of extraordinary power and extraordinary narrowness simultaneously. Darwin then placed the human being firmly within the biological process, which is true to a point, but which the culture of his time immediately read as a verdict that everything felt as higher, as transcendent, as irreducibly meaningful, was therefore biology in philosophical clothing. Kant drew the philosophical boundary from the inside. Whatever lies beyond sensory experience is not merely unknown, but unknowable in principle. Box by box, generation by generation, the ceiling of permissible thought descended a little further. And here is how that box gets policed, not by conspiracy, but by assumption. Rudolf Steiner develops a rigorous, disciplined methodology for investigating what lies beyond the senses. He's labelled an occultist. His work is routinely dismissed without being read. Rupert Sheldrake, a Cambridge-trained biologist, proposes that memory may extend beyond the individual brain. Nature calls his book suitable for burning, not because his method is sloppy, because his conclusions are inadmissible. Remote viewing, researched under controlled conditions at Stanford. Past life memories in children, documented with careful evidential rigor by Ian Stevenson at the University of Virginia. Near-death experiences, studied progressively by cardiologist Pim van Lommel. Results published in the Lancet. Each program serious, each treated as fringe, or dismissed as fraud. Not because the evidence is weak, but because what it points toward is outside the permitted territory. The boundary is not drawn by malice, it's drawn by the quiet, usually unconscious assumption that what cannot be measured cannot fully be real. We caught a glimpse of this during the COVID years. Follow the science, as though science were a single settled voice rather than a living, contested, self-correcting conversation. The authority of consensus was invoked not to encourage inquiry, but to foreclose it. It was a revealing moment. And yet, and this is the part that matters most, the story does not end with a closing door. Because Steiner and Sheldrake are not simply casualties of a narrow paradigm, they are forerunners of something that's quietly gathering, a new understanding in which the scientific rigour and genuine vision are not adversaries, but partners. There are many eminent thinkers whose illuminating perspectives are genuinely inspiring and revelatory. However, they are largely ignored in the schools and universities that shape our minds and the news and publications that establish our daily discourse. Yet, their works are not bound, just not celebrated. What these thinkers share is something simple: the willingness to let the full range of human experience be evidence, not only what can be quantified, all of it. Beneath the measurable surface of things, beneath the neural findings and particle interactions and the data streams, something older and deeper is always present. The great traditions of East and West, and an increasing number of serious contemporary researchers, converge on this: that consciousness is not a late arrival in the material universe. It is the ground from which the material universe itself arises. That is not a conclusion to be accepted on authority. It's an invitation to inquire, carefully, rigorously, and with the full range of faculties available to a human being. Our colour compass of consciousness demonstrates how to find that interior light that resonates with timeless truths, known in ancient times, and still seen by artists in the medieval era. Stay subscribed for a deeper exploration of how the compass of our inner experience works.